Do you really think there is such a thing as Western reason or white reason or male reason?
No, if it were, it would not be reason, because reason, by definition, doesn't depend on the amount of melanin in the skin of the person trying to do the reasoning, or the chromosomes of the person trying to do the reasoning. 3 + 2 = 5 is true for everyone, everywhere, always. And as soon as your mode of reasoning depends on your identity, it's no longer reasoning, it's no longer rationality. And the ultimate test of that is if someone were to claim that reasoning is a tool of white domination, you can say, well, is what you just said reasonable? Is what you just said true? If not, I don't have to believe it. You can mouth the words all you want, but you have no grounds for persuading me. As soon as they do try to persuade you, say, no, 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 this is what you ought to believe. You say, well, if I ought to believe it, you have just conceded that some things are true, that they ought to be believed, and other things aren't. So reasoning, rationality, logic, objectivity, truth, it's a game that you can't get out of, because as soon as you're willing to persuade, to discuss, to argue, you've already committed yourself to truth and rationality.
We live in a society where a lot of people say you can't really know truth, what is truth? What is it? And that really worries me, not least because it strikes me that if there's no truth, if there's no principle, in the end, all that's left is power.
Well, that is the logical conclusion, and I think one of the most effective expressions of that came in the last chapter of Orwell's novel 1984, where the government agent who is tormenting Winston Smith, representing the totalitarian regime, says exactly that. There's no truth. Truth is whatever the party says is the truth. And so, as you put it, if there's no truth, then all there is power. And that was one of Orwell's themes. So the wedge that we have, we meaning those of us who are committed to truth and objectivity and reason, is that as soon as you say anything about anything, you kind of already conceded that there is truth. Namely, you're trying to get us to agree to it. You're trying to say that what you're saying is true. And that has to be expanded and universalized. That, together with the obvious fact that, as we began our conversation, science and technology have done amazing stuff. They've more than doubled our lifespan. They've decimated starvation and disease and given us smartphones, and they put us on the moon. That can't happen by mythology, by wishful thinking. To be able to do that, you must really have an understanding of how the world works. Now, it doesn't mean that we ever know that we have the truth. And one of the things that makes science work is that no one ever gets to say, this is the final truth. We have it. Shut up. You're not allowed to disagree. Science progresses because we never know when we have the truth. We strive for it. That's our aspiration. We have reason to believe that we can approach it. We can have degrees of belief in a hypothesis. You can say on a scale of 0, I'm sure it's false, to 1, I'm sure it's true. We're never at 0 or 1, but we could be at 0.37, we could be at 0.62, and we can try to increase our confidence. But we're never positive, and that's why science, and for that matter, democracy, hinge on the ability to express opinions, to criticize, to disagree, to argue.